So I want to start by saying I hope everyone out there is doing all right amid all this chaos that's going on in the economy and with sickness and all that. And I just wanted to make this quick video to talk about how my business is doing and the things that I'm hopeful for the future, because I don't think in the end it's not going to be all bad. Things are going to get better. So I think there's a silver lining here, but I just want to talk about what's going on currently with this economic climate in my business. And really, I feel both fortunate and unfortunate. I feel fortunate in that, I'm still at work. My business is a moving company. If you aren't already familiar, we're considered an essential service, so we're still in business. We're severely impacted with what's going on. People have less money to spend. They're doing less moving around. And really the biggest impact for me has been handling my employees and figuring out the best way to do that, because really there's no handbook on how to deal with a situation like this. No one alive has dealt with a situation like this. It's been 100 years since anything similar has happened, and business was much different then. And it's really a balancing act, because everyone is dealing with this differently. Some people are absolutely terrified with what's going on. Some people are like, it's going to be fine. And as an employer, you have to be sympathetic with both sides. And it's been tough in dealing with, people not wanting to work because of the craziness. And obviously I accept that. And if someone doesn't want to work, they don't have to. For example, we had one of our movers, his dad said he's not allowed back in the house if he comes to work and comes back. He literally won't let him back in the house. So he can't work for, who knows how long. And that's the scariest thing about this all is the unknown factor. This could go on for another month. This could go on for another 3 months. And that's why I think it's important to, stay in operation, get this money flowing for the people who are willing to work and who want to work and, be able to pay their bills. I think that's really important to keep going. So let's talk about the business a little bit more. So if you're familiar with this channel at all, as part of my moving company, I also have this storage business that we recently started at the beginning of the year. What we do is we store our customers' furniture items in these storage vaults here. That one's full of pads, obviously. And we also started another service where we offer storage services for other moving companies in order to store their clients. Something that's going on with all this economy business is no one is forward thinking right now in their business. So promoting this to other businesses is basically worthless, because everyone is just thinking about survival over, how can I make an extra dollar? So that's pretty much slowed the storage business down to a halt. And then moving company wise, we're down about 25% this month compared to the same month last year. And in March, we actually weren't too bad in March, because there was this kind of frenzy where everyone who had moves scheduled were moving their move dates up and just wanted to get everything done because of this uncertainty. They didn't know if they wouldn't be able to move later. So everyone was pushing their move dates forward. So March actually wasn't too bad. But then now we're in April, and we're looking at things like people's closings are getting messed up. A house will be in contract or escrow, and then someone will lose their job and the contract will fall through and they won't be able to buy their home anymore because they have no income coming in. And that's the scary part, because who knows how long this is going to go for. The longer it goes, the more people are going to lose their jobs, the less people are going to have money to spend on, buying that new home, moving to the new apartment. Luckily, a lot of apartment buildings and stuff like that are helping people out and saying hey, if you are moving, you can stay here for an extra month, no additional fees. And then, new apartments are allowing people to just delay a little bit in order to wait out all this chaos. But that affects people like me who own moving services, because now we're kind of in this limbo where we don't know what exactly is going on. Our service is much slower than normal, especially when these are normally the months where we're super, super busy. We make almost all of our money between March and the end of September. And of course, right in March, this is when this happens, this chaos starts happening. So it really affects the bottom line. 25% of top line revenue affects the bottom line in a massive way. And a big benefit for me is actually 2 months ago, I made my very last truck payment on the trucks that I own. So luckily, my business has zero debt, which places me in a situation where I'm much less at risk of the business just going under, because I don't have these huge truck payments every single month. If I had 5 truck payments, that could easily be $8,000 a month in trucks that are just sitting there, basically making no money if there's no jobs to fill things out. But again, the biggest issue has just been managing the employees through this chaos, because like I said, everyone deals with this in a different way. You have to be sympathetic to the people who are scared, and you have to give work to the people who want work. And if someone even has the slightest little cold, you want to tell them to stay home, or if they feel like maybe they're exposed, you want them to stay home and protect everyone else. But that limits the number of people who can work. So we've had situations where there might be a 4 or 5 man crew scheduled, and for that day we can only find so many guys, and we have to send some limited crews, which cause issues in the long run. And customers aren't always sympathetic to that kind of thing, because they're thinking about what they have going on in their life. They're not thinking about all the difficulties of just finding guys who are healthy and want to work. And another thing that has been kind of odd is, for all larger jobs, we generally do in-home move estimates, where we go and take an inventory of everything that'll be moved. But right now people don't want us to go and do move estimates. So we've offered things like, going over Skype and just getting an inventory that way. But, there's difficulties to all these things, because you're not actually there seeing it. You can't see if, that thing has a damaged leg, or you can't really see like how heavy something is if you're just, looking through the screen of a camera. And that's ultimately going to cause issues in the long run as far as accuracy of quotes, potential issues in not being prepared for a job if someone doesn't show us something, if they under or overestimate something. I mean, ultimately, my company will survive. I definitely feel for those people who made huge plans and made huge bets and spend tons of money in order to really kick it off 2020. And now they're sitting with all this inventory. I mean, I do have this warehouse payment, which it's expensive every single month. It's almost $4,000 every single month, and now our storage isn't really building up like it was expected to. Even in the slowest expectation, right now it's not filling up that fast. But luckily, I took some safe steps and made some decisions right up front to where I negotiated a 1-year lease instead of a typical 5-year lease. So if this continues on in 1 year, I know I'll be safe. I can afford it for that year just fine without, folding or anything like that. Ultimately, the company will be fine. And I mean, my life-wise, it has to be like the most unchanged, because all I ever did before this was, either be at my house or be at work. I didn't really go out much. Maybe I'd go out to a restaurant once a month, and that's not really a big deal for me. So ultimately, my life hasn't changed a whole lot, but I have a lot of empathy and sympathy for what's going on, especially those who've lost their jobs, or ultimately those who are going to lose their business. Because I can't imagine the people who have businesses that need to completely close for 1 month, 2 months. Like, we don't know how long this is going to go on, and to have zero money coming in, I mean, it's going to be a tough run for most businesses, and I really feel for you guys out there if you're in a situation like that. And one of the biggest competitors to service type businesses are people doing it themselves. And I think that's going to be the biggest detriment to most service businesses, is people don't have the disposable income to hire people to do these kinds of things for them. It's a perfect example for moving. Moving's expensive, and if people don't have an extra $2,000 laying around to spend on that, they're going to just do it themselves, and that applies for a lot of service businesses. And that's a really scary thing, as people are getting tighter and tighter with their money and more afraid of what's going to happen next. So let's talk about the opportunities a little bit more. I don't think it's all negative. I think after all this is over, there's going to be opportunity, there's going to be things for people to do who are willing to get up, pull themselves up, and make things happen. I thought this was really insightful. I recently interviewed Lizzie Hofer here on the channel, and she said that this climate is going to reveal who should and shouldn't be business owners. And I thought that was really insightful, because during a good market, during a good economy, it's much easier to run a business. And there were so many people who were self-employed simply because they didn't want a job somewhere, not because they wanted to, be entrepreneurial and hire people and grow business and things like that. And I think it's going to weed out a lot of the people who probably shouldn't have been entrepreneurs in the first place. And that's going to give a lot more opportunity to those who, really love it and want to hone the skills and want to get down and dirty and put in the effort. And I know that they're saying that, most recessions don't affect real estate, but I have a feeling that this is going to have a pretty big effect on real estate. Mostly because of all the people who own vacational rental type properties like Airbnb or the VRBO. And this is because a lot of people who own those can't afford a second mortgage or a third mortgage or a fourth mortgage or however many they have. And now that all this chaos is going on, no one is flying, no one is traveling. These homes are just sitting there with mortgage payments accumulating, and these people are going to have to sell off this real estate. And I personally think that that's going to put some more inventory in the market, lower prices a little bit, and then potentially give some better deals in the real estate market. And I think the same thing will happen with commercial real estate. Commercial real estate is just absolutely insane right now. Well, at least before this chaos was going on how expensive it was and how hard it was to get a place. I mean, this warehouse that we're in right now, it took me 5 months to line up. And if I was looking for the same size warehouse, 4 months later, which is right now, I bet I would have a breeze finding someone who would be willing to work with me on the terms that I was looking for, because I think a lot of businesses are both gonna realize that they don't need workers at work with everyone working at home, and they're like, hey, this actually isn't so bad. And there's a big downfall where a lot of businesses aren't expanding. People aren't opening up new businesses. So it's just going to leave more inventory, which means cheaper prices either for leases or to buy commercial real estate as well. And I think that's exciting for the people who are in a position in order to make some big deals in the coming future. Another possible opportunity is the stock market. Now, I never really try to tell people to just jump in and make investments without, being knowledgeable beforehand, because a lot of times what people tend to do is like, hey, I like this company, let me buy some of the stock. And that's just not the right way to do it, because who knows what the financials are like on that company. So I think, for the average person, the best thing to do would be, get a general index fund like an S&P 500, because eventually the market's going to go up and there's going to be some returns there. For people who are more experienced, there's definitely some opportunity in the stock market. And then finally, opportunity in just purchasing small businesses. This is something that if you've been following this channel for a while, you're definitely aware that I'm constantly looking at businesses to purchase. And this climate is really going to drag the prices down even lower. And small businesses already sell for a super low multiple on average. The average small business sells for 1.96 times earnings. And I can only imagine that's going to go lower and lower and lower for both people who want to retire and get out of their business and people who are just dealing with the stress of the situation and want to get out. So I think there's a major silver lining here, and there's going to be a lot of opportunity. Yes, it's bad right now, but overall, I think it's going to get better. And I think we're all going to have some profitable days coming up soon. Thanks for watching.